March 30th, 1 Samuel 13 and 14. 1 Samuel 13. And Saul was unknown years old when he began to reign. And when he had reigned 2 years over Israel, Saul chose for himself 300,000 men of Israel. 2,000 were with Saul at Michmash in the mountains of Bethel, and 1,000 were with Jonathan in Geba of Benjamin. And the rest of the people he sent away, each to his tent. And Jonathan struck the watchpost of the Philistines that was in Geba, and the Philistines heard of it. And Saul blew with the shofar throughout all the land, saying, "Let the Hebrews hear." And all Israel heard the news that Saul had stricken a watchpost of the Philistines. Also that Israel had become a stench to the Philistines. And the people were summoned to Saul at Gilgal. And the Philistines gathered to fight Israel, 30,000 chariots and 6,000 horsemen, and people as numerous as the sand on the seashore. And they came up and encamped at Michmash, east of Beth Awen. And the men of Israel saw that they were in trouble, for the people were distressed, and the people hid in caves, and in thorny bushes, and in rocks, and in holes, and in pits. And some Hebrews passed over the Yarden to the land of Gad and Gilead, but Saul was still in Gilgal, and all the people followed him, trembling. And he waited for 7 days, according to the appointment of Samuel. But Samuel did not come to Gilgal, and the people were scattered before him. And Saul said, "Bring an ascending offering and a peace offering here to me." And he offered the ascending offering. And it came to be, as he had finished offering the ascending offering, look, Samuel came, and Saul went out to meet him, to bless him. Then Samuel said, "What have you done?" And Saul said, "Because I saw that the people were scattered from me, and that you did not come within the days appointed, that the Philistines gathered at Michmash. So I said, the Philistines are going to come down on me at Gilgal, and I have not appeased the face of Yah. So I felt compelled, and offered an ascending offering." And Samuel said to Saul, "You have been foolish. You have not guarded the command of Yah your Elohim, which he commanded you. For now Yah would have established your reign over Israel forever. But now your reign is not going to stand. Yah shall seek for himself a man after his own heart, and Yah shall command him to be leader over his people, because you have not guarded what Yah commanded you." And Samuel rose and went up from Gilgal to Geba of Benjamin. And Saul mustered the people who were present with him, about 600 men. And Saul and Jonathan his son, and the people who were present with them, remained in Geba of Benjamin, while the Philistines encamped at Michmash. And from the camp of the Philistines raiders went out in 3 companies. The one company turned to the way that leads to Ophrah, to the land of Saul. And the other company turned toward the way of Beth Horon, and another company turned toward the way of the border that overlooks the valley of Zeboim, toward the wilderness. Now no blacksmith could be found in the land of Israel, for the Philistines said, "Lest the Hebrews make swords or spears." And all Israel went down to the Philistines, each one to sharpen his plowshare, and his mattock, and his axe, and his sickle. And the charge was of him for the plowshares, and the mattocks, and the forks, and the axes, and to set the points of the goads. And it came to be on the day of the battle, that there was neither a sword nor spear found in the hand of any of the people who were with Saul and Jonathan. But they were found with Saul and Jonathan his son. And the outpost of the Philistines went out to the pass of Michmash. 1 Samuel 14. And it came to be one day that Jonathan, son of Saul, said to the young man who bore his armor, "Come, let us go over to the outpost of the Philistines, which is on the other side." But he did not inform his father. So Saul remained at the outskirts of Geba, under a pomegranate tree and Migron, and the people who were with him were about 600 men. And Aiah, son of Ahitub, Ichabod's brother, son of Phinehas, son of Eli, the priest of Yah and Silo, was wearing a shoulder garment. And the people did not know that Jonathan had gone. And between the passes by which Jonathan sought to go over to the outpost of the Philistines, there was an edge of a rock on one side and an edge of a rock on the other side. And the name of one was Botzets, and the name of the other Sineh. The one edge was on the north opposite of Michmash, and the other on the south opposite of Geba. Jonathan said to the young man who bore his armor, "Come, let us go over to the outpost of these uncircumcised. If so be Yah does work for us, for there is no hindrance for Yah to save by many or by few." And his armor-bearer said to him, "Do all that is in your heart, incline yourself. See, I am with you according to your heart." And Jonathan said, "See, we were passing over to the men, and show ourselves to them. If they say this to us, 'Wait until we come to you,' then we shall stand still in our place, and not go up to them. But if they say this, 'Come up to us,' then we shall go up, for Yah has given them into our hand, and this is the sign to us." And both of them disclosed themselves to the outpost of the Philistines. And the Philistines said, "See, the Hebrews are coming out of the holes where they have hidden." And the men of the outpost called to Jonathan and his armor-bearer, "Come up to us, and let us teach you a lesson." And Jonathan said to his armor-bearer, "Come up after me, for Yah has given them into the hand of Israel." And Jonathan climbed up on his hands and knees, with his armor-bearer after him, and they fell before Jonathan, and his armor-bearer was putting them to death behind him. And that first smiting which Jonathan and his armor-bearer struck was about 20 men, and about half an acre of land. And there was trembling in the camp, in the field, and among the people. The outpost and the raiders also trembled, and the ground shook, and it became a trembling of Elohim. And the watchmen of Saul in Geba of Benjamin looked, and saw the crowd melting away, and they went here and there. And Saul said to the people who were with him, "Please inspect and see who has gone from us." So they inspected and saw that Jonathan and his armor-bearer were missing. And Saul said to Aiah, "Bring the ark of Elohim here," for the ark of Elohim was with the children of Israel on that day. And it came to be, while Saul talked to the priest, that the noise which was in the camp of the Philistines went on, and became great. So Saul said to the priest, "Withdraw your hand." And Saul was called, and all the people who were with him. And they went to the battle, and see, every man's sword was against his neighbor, a very great confusion. And the Hebrews who were with the Philistines before that time, who went up with them into the camp, turned around, and they too, to be with Israel, who were with Saul and Jonathan. And all the men of Israel who had hidden in the mountains of Ephraim heard that the Philistines fled, and they also pursued them in battle. Thus Yah saved Israel that day, and the battle passed over to Beth-awen. And the men of Israel were distressed that day, for Saul had placed the people under oath, saying, Cursed be the man who eats food until evening, and I have taken revenge on my enemies. Therefore none of the people tasted food. And all they of the land came into the woods, and there was honey on the ground. And the people came into the woods, and saw the honey dripping, but no one put his hand to his mouth, for the people feared the oath. But Jonathan had not heard that his father had taken an oath of the people. And he stretched out the end of the rod that was in his hand, and dipped it in a honeycomb, and put his hand to his mouth, and his eyes lit up. Then one of the people said, Your father strictly took an oath of the people, saying, Cursed be the man who eats food today. And the people were weary. And Jonathan said, My father has troubled the land. Now see how my eyes lit up when I tasted a little of this honey. How much better if the people had well eaten today of the spoil of their enemies, which they found. For then would not the slaughter of the Philistines have been greater? And I struck the Philistines that day from Michmash to Ailon. So the people were very weary. And the people pounced on the spoil, and took sheep and cattle and calves, and slew them on the ground. And the people ate with the blood. And they told Saul, saying, Look, the people are sinning against Yah by eating with the blood. And he said, You have acted treacherously. Roll a large stone to me today. And Saul said, Scatter among the people, and say to them, Each one bring his ox near to me, and each one his sheep. And you shall slay them here and eat, and do not sin against Yah by eating with the blood. So every one of the people brought his ox with him that night, and slew it there. And Saul built a slaughter place to Yah. It was the first slaughter place he built to Yah. And Saul said, Let us go down after the Philistines by night, and plunder them until the morning light, and not leave a man of them. And they said, Do whatever seems good to you. But the priest said, Let us draw near to Elohim here. And Saul asked of Elohim, Should I go down after the Philistines? Do you give them into the hand of Israel? But he did not answer him that day. And Saul said, Come over here, all you chiefs of the people, and know and see what this sin was today. For as Yah lives, who saves Israel, though it be in Jonathan my son, that he shall certainly die. But not one among all the people answered him. And he said to all Israel, You be on my side, and my son Jonathan and I be on the other side. You be on one side, and my son Jonathan and I be on the other side. And the people said to Saul, Do what seems good to you. Then Saul said to Yah Elohim of Israel, Give a perfect lot. And Saul and Jonathan were taken, but the people escaped. And Saul said, Cast lots between my son Jonathan and me. And Jonathan was taken. And Saul said to Jonathan, Explain to me what you have done. And Jonathan explained to him and said, I only tasted a little honey with the end of the rod that was in my hand. See, let me die. And Saul answered, Elohim, do so, and more also, for you shall certainly die, Jonathan. But the people said to Saul, Should Jonathan die, who has wrought this great salvation in Israel? Far be it, as Yah lives, let not one hair on his head fall to the ground, for he has wrought with Elohim this day. Thus the people ransomed Jonathan, and he did not die. And Saul returned from his pursuing the Philistines, and the Philistines went to their own place. And Saul took the reign over Israel, and fought against all his enemies round about, against Moab, and against the children of Ammon, and against Edom, and against the sovereigns of Zobah, and against the Philistines. And wherever he turned, he inflicted punishment. And he gathered an army, and struck the Amalekites, and delivered Israel from the hands of those who plundered them. And the sons of Saul were Jonathan, and Ishvi, and Malchishua, and the names of his 2 daughters were these. The name of the firstborn was Merab, and the name of the younger, Michal. And the name of Saul's wife was Ahinoam, the daughter of Ahimaites. And the name of the commander of his army was Abner, son of Ner, uncle of Saul. And Kish was the father of Saul, and Ner, the father of Abner, was the son of Abiel. And there was tough fighting against the Philistines all the days of Saul. And when Saul saw any mighty man or any brave man, he took him for himself.